well-being, we should also shift our focus to understanding more about what digital care means to us. Yes, I said digital care. So in this session, we'll be discussing what the true meaning of digital care is and how to access it. This next guest is the Senior Manager of Global Wellness at RBC. After earning her MBA, she joined RBC and has made an impact in leading the Global Wellbeing Program. But her main passion lies in being an advocate for well-being, vocalizing that we must prioritize our mental health not only at work, but also throughout our community for the betterment of everyone. Please welcome Rbc Spear.
Good morning. I'd like to extend a warm RBC welcome to everyone who's been able to join us today. I'm delighted to be here with you. My name is Rbc Spear, and I'm the Senior Manager of Global Wellness at RBC. I'm pleased to be your host and moderator for this segment. Allow me to set the stage. People around the world are not only reacting to the new realities created by COVID-19, but they're also reacting to the constant change that technology has brought about. Even under normal circumstances, young people face critical barriers in order to successfully transition from school to work, whether it's starting a small business, joining the corporate world, or any other number of paths and journeys. And so now, more than ever, young people need support gaining work experience, gaining new skills, navigating networking, and accessing mental well-being supports and services. Our conversation today is all about well-being, so let's zoom in on that. Our research tells us that 75% of mental illness is diagnosed between 16 to 25 years of age, when 80% of our youth are transitioning from school to post-secondary or work. And we also know that young people don't have sufficient access to the mental well-being supports and services that they need. Prosperity for all Canadians is directly linked to our ability to prepare young people to succeed in an ever-changing global economy. For Canada to be prosperous, young people must thrive. And that's why we've announced our largest commitment in RBC history. Rbc Future Launch is a 10-year, $500 million commitment to help Canadian youth prepare for the jobs of tomorrow. We're moving beyond financial investment and engaging the public and private sectors and partners like Elevate, Togetherall, and the Youth Wellness Hubs of Ontario. On that note, it's my pleasure to introduce two champions of youth mental well-being. Dr. Joanna Henderson and McEvoy are leaders in the mental health space at two Rbc Future Launch partner organizations. Dr. Joanna Henderson is the Executive Director of Youth Wellness Hubs of Ontario and also Director of the Margaret and Wallace McCain Centre for Child, Youth and Family Mental Health at the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health in Toronto. Mcavoy is General Manager and Senior Vice President at Togetherall. Dr. Henderson, Matthew, welcome and thank you so much for joining us today. You're both leaders at organizations offering youth support for mental well-being. I'm going to start with a big question, our biggest. I'd ask you both to share what digital care means to you. In your opinion, why is it important, and where does your organization fit into this space? We'll start with Matthew.
Sure. Digital care is, I think, is a big topic, of course. There's the, taking physical programs and moving them digitally remote, so providing access to support in remote communities, providing better times of day and access in that way. But I think digital care also allows us to rethink how we provide care and support. The main reason I joined Togetherall was I have a firm belief in the power of community. So at Togetherall, we operate a digital peer-to-peer mental health community where young people can connect with one another and share their joint lived experience. Through the use of technology, we make sure it's a safe community because it's monitored 24 hours a day by registered clinicians. And since the pandemic has started, we've supported over 100,000 people under the age of 30. So a really powerful impact over the last 18 months or so. But the core focus for us is really leaning into that power of community. I think community has always been a really big part of the physical world. So we think about somebody who's been recently diagnosed with cancer. Alongside of their treatment, they're provided with a community of support of cancer survivors, of others who are going through the same course of treatment. We think about somebody who has been lost a loved one and going through a grieving process. We're able to get them to a bereavement support group, but mental health is a little bit different, right? It's invisible. It's often a very private experience for folks. And so where, cancer support and grief support and bereavement support, often a community rallies around you, accessing community for mental health can be a challenge. We think about some of the impact that mental health conditions can have on people struggling with depression are more likely to stay inside and not seek support. Anxiety can paralyze our decision making, and then of course there's the stigma around reaching out for help in mental health. And so, but we know that young people in particular still want that community when they're struggling with mental health, and they are turning online. So all you need to do is look at Reddit and see the subreddits for anxiety and depression have over 1 million members. And so we've tried our best to create a safe space for that young person who's experiencing a mental health concern for the first time, doesn't know where to turn, they can reach out to the community. Or somebody who's struggling with going through the hard work of cognitive behavioral therapy, but maybe doing it alone can benefit from community. As well as people who are coming out on the other side on recovery, right? And being able to share their experience and give back to those folks who are maybe at the earlier stages. And we can use digital and technology to create that safe space that has a meaningful and important impact.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Dr. Henderson.
Sure. Well, I think from my perspective, it's really about youth having options. With Youth Wellness Hubs Ontario, we really tried to create a one-stop shop model of care that's been co-created with young people where mental health, substance use, health, employment services all come together. And of course, with the pandemic, we pivoted and our hubs across the province were able to pivot to offering virtual services. But that's not where we want to go. We really want young people to have consistent access across the province to quality care that's integrated, that really takes into consideration where young people are at in terms of development, their mental health, their substance use concerns, their health concerns, and employment. So our next step is really to create that Youth Wellness Hubs Ontario virtual, where young people can have the kinds of experiences we've co-created for in-person services. Now we can co-create those in a virtual context.
It's incredible. Both of your answers really tell us about the need for access and personalization as well, meeting people where they are, which is what digital mental health care can help us do. That's incredible. Dr. Henderson, turning to you, in your opinion, what is the current state of access to digital care for youth? Is appropriate help available for those who need it?
Yes and no. We've come a long way. We've really sort of created a whole variety of different opportunities out of necessity, I think, in large part over the course of the pandemic, but we still have a long ways to go. One of the things that I often think about is how we've had a little bit of a tendency to move what we do in person to kind of a virtual or digital platform. And I think the next place we need to go is to really leverage the capacity, the unique value of technology and the digital space to create even new kinds of services, new approaches to mental health.
Excellent, thank you so much. And Matthew, in your opinion, what does the future hold for digital care in our new reality and post-pandemic?
It's a big question in 1 minute or less. I think, before even the thought around access, I sat on a technical committee for the creation of post-secondary student mental health in conjunction with the Mental Health Commission of Canada. And one of the things that we did was survey young people about access and ask them, what are your biggest concerns there? And one of the things that really struck me was that they're aware that there's many forms of access, but a big concern was, where do I go? There's so much fragmentation within the system. Where do I go to get access to support? So just even chatting with Joanna about these wellness hubs, I think is a huge step forward for us. The other piece that I think we need to focus on in terms of mental health literacy is young people who are feeling like they may not be sick enough to get support, right? So maybe letting that spot that is, for somebody else rather than for themselves. So I think part of this is creating a safe space where we're able to educate young people so that they are aware that, yes, they can access support and go out and get it.
Incredible. I think that the future of digital mental health care sounds like it is arriving and is in safe hands with both of you. So thank you so much for your insights and all of the work that you do every day to support youth mental health and the future of digital mental health care as well. And thank you to everyone who's been able to join us today virtually. It's so exciting to be joined by like-minded people who share a common goal. To reach the goals laid out by the UN in the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, it's going to continue to take innovative thinking and urgent action. Our 2030 commitment at RBC Future Launch is to continue to act as a catalyst for change in the youth mental well-being space. We will continue acting as a convening power, taking a more than money approach to helping young people access meaningful employment through work experience, skills development, networking, and access to mental well-being supports and services. Since 2017, 2.4 million youth across Canada have been reached through an RBC Future Launch supported program, including those that are dedicated to mental well-being. And it's because of partnerships like these that 70% of youth surveyed reported feeling better prepared for the future of work. We'll leave you with this Future Launch video. Thank you again to all of you for joining, and enjoy the rest of the event.
Here's an idea. RBC is investing $500 million over 10 years in Sarah, Ben, Yuki, Samir, and millions of young people just like you, so you'll have the skills, connections, work experience, and mental well-being support for the jobs of today and tomorrow. RBC Future Launch, empowering youth for the jobs of today and tomorrow.